I can still remember the vivid smell of the beautiful white jasmine flowers that climb the walls on the street where my grandparents' house is in Aleppo, Syria. The pure, innocent, small, white, dainty flowers, along with the nostalgic scent. There was always something about those flowers that I loved so much. I used to always walk to the local corner store by my grandparents' house with my cousins to buy our favorite candies, then return home to play soccer until the sun would set. Although most of my cousins are boys, most of my mother's siblings are girls, so when I'd had enough of playing soccer, I'd spend time with them, and they would always do my hair and makeup for fun. The best moments were the times spent at my grandparents' beach house in the city of Tartus, where we would spend our days in the sun, swimming in the Mediterranean, and our nights eating watermelon and playing the card game Uno. Most of the memories I remember from my childhood were those spent during summers in Syria. Out of all these moments that defined my childhood, I will never forget the sweet candy called bonbonne that my grandfather would give to me every single day when he'd return from work. He was a pharmacist and worked so hard every single day, and I always looked forward to seeing him come home and routinely giving me that piece of candy. Although it was something that was so simple, it was also very special. From the time I was a baby, my family and I would spend every summer in my home country, Syria. It was routine. We never let a summer go by without us visiting. And as for myself, I saw Syria as my Disneyland, the land of no problems and worries, only happiness, laughter, unforgettable moments, and pure bliss. A routine was a routine, and expecting to visit Syria every summer over and over again to see my family was never something I thought could ever change. I never thought this could even become a concept, and it didn't make sense to me until much later. I was only 8 years old, and the whole idea of my Disneyland crashing down hadn't come to terms with me. In the year 2010, citizens began to protest the streets of Syria, fighting against the government, and violence was beginning to erupt. In the beginning of those few months, my grandpa became extremely sick very quickly, and there wasn't much time left for him. My mother packed her bags and left winter of 2011 to be there for his last moments. Due to the violence, my mother didn't think it was safe for us to come, and frankly, I was clueless of the whole situation. My grandpa passed away before I could ever see him again or say a forever goodbye. It was always a see you later kind of goodbye, and never a permanent one. I was young and had never lost anyone close to me, and it became unreal to put together this new reality. This strong memory of the little bonbonne candies that my grandpa would give to me every day when he'd return from work will never leave my heart, and I don't think my grandpa ever knew how much they meant to me and how much they still do till this day. This simple routine that we shared every day when I'd visit suddenly became broken, and I never truly cherished it until he passed. He was an extremely intelligent man with such a beautiful and pure soul. He gave his all to his family and is missed every single day. As time went on, protests turned deadly, and my country became filled with a war that has been going on for nearly 10 years now. Summer of 2010 was the last time I ever visited Syria, and I haven't seen most of my family since my last visit. It is still surreal to this day to see my own country burn down along with its innocence. My wonderland of a childhood quickly ended with violence and chaos. It's interesting because when I was in elementary school, many of my friends at school would ask me, "Where are you from? Are you Mexican? Why does your mom have an accent?" I'd obviously respond and say that my parents are from Syria, but to my surprise, most people had never even heard of the country. "You're from cereal? Like the food?" To my 9-year-old friends at the time, they truly believed that I would disappear to the land of frosted flakes and Fruit Loops during the summer and come back for the following school year. It wasn't long until the entire world knew Syria, however, due to the media coverage of the war. Unfortunately, most of the world hasn't come to know Syria for the beauty of it, and as for most people, Syria is only known to be a country with war and devastation. Having to shift from this routine of seeing my family every summer in Syria, where life was perfect and so simple, to having to explain to those around me if my family was okay and what exactly was happening in Syria, was something I had to get used to very quickly. It became a topic of discussion in class, a crisis of refugees with citizens who were once living their simple lives to having no place to go, and a constant background noise on my TV with the news on giving the daily count of bombs and airstrikes, with the news anchor telling the world how many children died on that day. The longer the war went on, the more numb I felt towards the rising number of deaths. We'd speak to my grandma back in Syria, who'd complain about the endless hours of no electricity and how difficult it was to even find bread in the shops. But through all of it, living in a country with a future that isn't so bright, my family somehow remained calm and hopeful. Continuing a life in a country with war has left most of my family to make the tough decision to leave behind everything in their homes to new country with hopes of furthering their lives, including my grandparents who have been in the States since 2012. Where once what feels like a lifetime ago, my entire family was all in one country, is now separated and scattered, but not broken. Due to the war in Syria, I haven't seen most of my family in nearly 10 years. Words cannot describe how much I miss my family, and I dream of the day that I can finally reunite with them. I miss the craziness of my cousins, my grandma's beautiful crystal blue eyes, the laughter of my aunts and uncles, the scent of the beautiful white jasmine flowers of Aleppo, and so much more. We live our daily routines, often unconsciously taking advantage of what we have in our lives and forget how quickly things can change. Looking back at my times in Syria, I regret not valuing the moments and the time that I had with my family and home as much as I do now, because I didn't know that my routinely visit to Syria in 2010 would be my last. It is so important that we are grateful for the people that we have in our life in this very moment, because we never know if the temporary goodbyes we say to the people we care for are permanent. I urge you all to treasure the people and the routine you currently have in your life, because the future is inevitable, and cherishing every moment with the people you love should never be an overly estimated statement. Take the moment to look up, appreciate your current routine, to always tell your friends and family that you appreciate and love them. To my family, بحبكن وبشتاق لكن كل يوم. I love you and miss you every day. Thank you.